How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Space stocks are doing extremely well today. And this is really interesting because a while ago we had ARK come out with their space ETF. We thought there would be a massive jump on that news because we thought a lot of the SPAC space stocks would be included in those or in that ETF. But what we saw was a lot of stocks that were kind of similar or had some component of space in them that were very low risk that were included in there as opposed to some of these SPACs. But the whole space market is up today. We have Astra, which is up about 25%. We have VACQ up 9%, which those are pretty similar. We have Space or SPCE, Virgin Galactic, up 5%, and then even GNPK up 2.5%. So I want to take you through a couple of those stocks again so that you can get an idea for what they have to bring to the table, their valuations, their revenue, what they might do, and why this might just be the beginning, because Astra is the first company that has merged out of these SPACs. I suppose with the exception of SPCE, because they've been SPCE for a while, but Astra, I suppose, is the first launching company out of this list, rocket launching or satellite launching company. And it is going up a lot right now. So we might be able to catch some of these other ones, depending on what you think about them, before they actually go public through their SPAC. So that's going to be really interesting because some of these I think are even better values than Astra. So let's take a look. Rocket reusability could lower the cost of launches by an order of magnitude. This is from ARK Invest Big Ideas 2021. They say the space industry is taking off. This is something that they want to get into. Rocket and satellite cost declines are upending what once seemed to be a monopolistic and bureaucratic industry. They are talking about the advances in deep learning, mobile connectivity, 3D printing, robotics, and all this kind of stuff. They think that they think the orbital aerospace opportunity could be about $370 billion annually. So we have gone through this before at the beginning of the year, but it's pretty interesting to see it finally taking effect, that some people are excited about space again. Now, we could see a pullback. We could see a pullback either today, next week, whatever, because this has come on very quickly and it's pretty drastic right now. We haven't seen many SPACs get a lot of excitement in a while, and this has been like a couple days of Astra continuously moving up. So why are people excited? Well, Astra started trading Thursday amid a wave of space stocks that have turned to blank check companies to go public. Astra is the first space launch company to trade on the NASDAQ, according to the company. So pretty interesting. We also have the kind of the sister company of Virgin Galactic that is apparently in talks with NGCA. So be on the lookout for that. But let's take a look at some of the valuations real quick of some of these companies. So Astra was a pro forma enterprise value of about 2.1 billion. Now it's trading for about 1.6 times that. So around 3.5 billion or so. Now they have a small amount of revenue. So 2021, their total expected revenue, and this is from months ago, and we're not doing like a huge in-depth look at these because I've done full videos on each of these before, but their total revenue was about 4 million for this year. So not a huge amount of revenue by any means, only 3 launches. And they're going to have free cash flow of negative 175 million. Now, one of these companies here today is actually already positive free cash flow, which is really interesting. They're the one that I have the most money in out of these 4 stocks. But then we have VACQ, which is a totally different company, but it's something that is going to be very similar to Astra. So if we look up here, this company is actually Rocket Lab, and they're actually quite far along compared to Astra. We can actually take a look at the revenue, and it is going to be significantly higher. So their enterprise value is around 4.1 billion, but it's about 1.2 times that because they are up about to $12 or so. So 20% on top of that would be about just under $5 billion. Now look at their revenue though. They had expected revenue of about 35 million last year and 70 million this year. So a significant amount further in than Astra is. They're already past where Astra is. Then we have SPCE, another one. So between Astra and VACQ or Rocket Lab, I'm actually invested in Rocket Lab. I was in both of them, sold out to put more in VACQ and to spread out some other funds, but VACQ is a little bit further along. I think Astra is kind of like a high risk, high reward version of VACQ. Then we have Virgin Galactic, probably the highest risk, highest reward of any of these, up to $45. Obviously, they've come a far way because even just recently, they're at $16. They were a SPAC, went public about a year ago, and now they've come up all the way to $60 and then back down a couple times. So pretty exciting what they're doing with Richard Branson going into space in 9 days, I believe. So pretty cool there. And definitely a company where if they can do what they want to do, they could be quite profitable in the future. But again, high risk, high reward. They're doing something that no one's done before, or they're trying to do something. And then the one that I hold the most amount of money in, GNPK. So they're merging with Redwire. This is another SPAC. Rarely talked about, kind of came in towards the end once SPACs were falling out of favor a little bit. Their pro forma enterprise value is $615 million. And the thing is, they have not come up much from the bottom. So right now, I just have it pulled up on my phone. They're $10.58. So only about a 6% downside. And they're being valued around $700 million. Now, what do they actually bring to the table? How much in revenue do they actually have? Significantly more than any of these. They have 163 million expected this year, 119 million last year. So these aren't the actual numbers. This was before the end of the year, I believe, that they put out these numbers. They're still estimated. So 119 million last year. They had free cash flow last year. They had adjusted EBITDA that was positive. They have positive free cash flow moving into the future too. They're expecting by 2025 to have about 200 million in free cash flow. So maybe not the explosive growth we see estimated on some of these other ones where they're expecting 1.5 million in revenue and then unlevered free cash flow of 700 million, but more of a stable grower with less risk in my opinion. This is like a conglomerate. They do a bunch of different things and they've just been picking up other companies and they've been able to provide some of these larger companies like NASA, Momentous, Firefly with some things that they need. So it's been pretty cool to see what they're doing. Of course, like I said, lower risk, probably a little bit lower reward, but pretty cool that they are still working with a lot of these other companies and they go through what they're doing with all these different companies on their investor presentation. So that's kind of the layout of the 4 space stocks that I'm really watching more closely. But I think it's going to be cool to see what happens because I think these anything can happen short term with these. But I think long term, like 10 years out, 20 years out, these might be some of the better performing stocks, some of the best performing stocks maybe, but they are some of the higher risk, higher reward stocks. I think we're at that point where we can finally innovate enough with some of these companies that they might be able to do what they want to do, which is going to be cool to watch. But of course, I'm not a financial advisor. Always do your own research. If you want to know what size positions I have in VACQ and GNPK, you can actually see my last video on my portfolio. I just put it up. So I'll link to it at the end screen. I wouldn't mind getting into SPCE if it falls down again. I sold out around 30 and then it fell down to 16 and I just didn't buy it again. But definitely one that is really interesting, and the fact that they are actually going to launch their founder into space, really good news. I knew that was coming up, but I didn't think it would be this soon. So pretty cool there. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know which one of these you like the most down in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.